Yes, let's move away from that picture. Thank you. So as you heard, I am the Deputy Secretary General, Kim Sooheon. And today I'll talk to you about a few topics: the code of conduct, which we expect from you as delegates, the agendas and committees you will discuss, and generally what we perceive as the ideal of MUN is. So moving on. The code of conduct is a few, really the most basic rules that we expect from all of you as participants of this conference. First of which is the release and waiver of liability form, which if you turn to the last page of your OT handbooks, you will see a copy. Now, this legal waiver is mandatory for participation, so please read it very carefully and do the requisite signings and bring a copy on the day of the conference. Now, those of you who are over the age of 19 or who have your legal guardians with you today can get it over with and sign it today. If you hand it to one of us, one of the DSGs or the staff, you will be able to forget about this from then on. If you can also, if you happen to lose your delegate handbook, you can go to the KMUN website, and under the document library, you will find this page. Just print it out and sign it and bring it. The next thing I want to talk about is the issue of plagiarism. Now, all of you are probably aware that as delegates, you will be required to write a position paper before the day of the conference. And now, it is not part of the actual conference, but we believe it is an extremely important piece of it. And therefore, we take the quality of position papers very seriously. Now, we all of us, all the Secretariat, have also participated in MUNs, and we do know how the process of writing a position paper goes. Generally, you would look things up on the internet, form your opinion, and write your paper. Now, this is great, but you have to be careful that you give citations and give credit to every source that you use. We will be using technology to check whether citations are properly done, so please be aware of this. So just as a reminder, whenever you use somebody else's ideas, opinions, theories, anything which isn't common knowledge, anything which has a source, and for example, quotations, or even when you paraphrase somebody else's ideas, we require that you put a citation in the proper format in your position papers. Failing to do so, we view as the highest form of insincerity towards our conference, and remind you once more that we'll take this very seriously. So moving on, as you will have noticed, all of us we're currently speaking in English. The working language of our conference is officially English, and for the duration of the conference, as delegates, you're required to speak in English, whomever you're talking to. So use English always when talking to absolutely anyone to do with the conference for the entire duration of the conference, please. Now, another important thing we must talk about is the dress code. The standard dress code at KMUN is Western business clothing. Now, whatever image came to mind, having heard that, is what you should wear. This means formal attire. We don't accept casual attire, and we will turn delegates away from the conference if they're improperly dressed. So, as an example, for men, this is one of our secretariat. You may try to guess who this is. So this would be an example of a proper way to dress for the event. And as a side note, bow ties and vests are allowed. Anything further than that are not allowed. So for men, we believe it's pretty simple. Now, for women, the dress code may be a little more complicated. And yes, these are also members of the Secretariat. We specifically forbid the wearing of shorts or miniskirts any kind of individualistic heels. So please dress conservatively. Anything you feel that you need to ask us, if it is okay, probably isn't, so don't bother. So we hope that is clear, the basic rules, and now I'll move on to speaking about the agendas and committees we have at our conference this year. If you go onto our website, under programs, you will see a list of all the committees for this year, which are 10, and 18 different agendas. And here you can find a short introductory paragraph, and also agenda papers, which go into further detail and depth about these agendas. You can also find them on the SciWorld Club if you have joined. So we leave, the agenda papers are already written and have done a lot of research for you, so we trust that you will look through those carefully. And today I will just maybe go over the agendas very briefly. So this part requires a little participation. Those of you, I hope that all of you know which committees you guys are a part of. Those of you who are in the UNSC, I won't ask you to do anything. Just please, could you raise your hand so that I can see how many of you are here today? UNSC? Okay, at least a few in the back. Well, so these are the agendas for the UNSC. Generally dealing with the R2P, concept of R2P, and the role of the internet in democratic societies today. And as you all know, this was the year of two landmark events, the official ending of the Iraq War and what's called the Arab Spring, which is ongoing. So we believe that for this committee there will be plenty to discuss and many things to hammer out. So we're looking greatly forward to these agendas. FAO, please raise your hands. This will interest you. So, seems like we don't have any FAOs here today, but I will explain anyway. FAO will be discussing the problem of rising food prices and the possible causes for it, and of course possible ways in which it can be alleviated. So let's hope that they have a good time discussing these things. We're really also looking forward to this agenda. Anybody in the NSS 1 or 2 committees? Okay, thank you. A few in the back. Now, as you know, the Nuclear Security Summit, as our Secretary General has said, will be held in Seoul this year, next month. So we believe that it is a very pertinent issue. And of course, being the year of the Fukushima plant disaster, and also a rekindling of the fear of instability in the Korean Peninsula, possibly. We believe it's rich for debate, this topic. Now the WIPO, also raise your hands, just so I can see. Okay, quite a few WIPO here. The WIPO will discuss the effects of pharmaceutical patents in the international scale, and perhaps review the possibilities to share renewable energy technologies. These are, of course, perennially important topics, and we believe you guys will have a good time discussing this. UNODC, raise your hands. Okay, at least 3. So the UNODC will speak of the narcotics drug trade around the world, and the collusion between governments and drug cartels and how they can be alleviated. And it will also evaluate decriminalization as a possible multilateral worldwide approach to employ against the problem of drugs. Very interesting problem. The Rio Plus 20, is anyone there? Okay. So the Rio Plus 20 will hope to set guidelines for sustainable development in cities and construct an infrastructure to encourage green economies. This is also a kind of favorite topic of Model UN's, and we believe the new committee of the Rio Plus 20 is a great place in which to debate these topics. The UNHCR. Okay, thank you. So the UNHCR will discuss the specific infrastructure to accommodate environmental refugees, which, as you'll know, is has been a problem in recent environmental disasters. Finding measures to alleviate military recruitment of refugees in Somalia and Kenyan region is also an interesting topic that is quite current. So I believe you will have a fun time researching and discussing these agendas. And finally, the International Maritime Organization. Okay, one person from the IMO today. So you will discuss possible measures to alleviate the problem of transnational harmful waste dumping, and perhaps try to address at an international scale the problem of Somali piracy. So have fun with that. So I would like to kind of wrap up with an explanation of, first of all, what we, the Secretariat, believe is the purpose of the MUN, what we wish to impart to you as delegates, and also what you can expect from this conference. So, just externally speaking, the Model UN is, it's an event where hundreds of students gather at our university for a few days, just milling about wearing formal clothing, and then have a giant meal at the end. Now, of course, externally this is what it is, but what MUN really is, we believe, is best understood by examining really the purpose behind this event. So what we hope this can be is a place where all of you can come to seek to gather and discuss the ultimate goal of taking a crack at really the global problems facing the world today. Now, the goal is for you to immerse yourselves in the issues that you debate, the people you will meet, and the negotiations you guys must hammer out. And for us, as organizers, we hope that all of you can experience firsthand the kind of political realities and difficulties of really getting anything done on an international scale. So, really, to introduce the concept of what a resolution is, if all of you came together for 4 days, discussed, and had fruitful discussion and left with nothing to show for it, that would be a shame. So really, the physical manifestation of your kind of your debate and so on will be in the form of a resolution. This is a document which states the views of all the delegations in your committee, and this can be seen as the ultimate goal of debate at our conference. Now, this process is done by, of course, to solve a problem, you will have to decide which problem to solve. So that will be the process of setting the agenda when you come into debate. And once you decide which agenda to speak about, you will have the process of discussion and debate while following the various rules of procedure, which we will go in depth with later speakers. And then finally, you will write and come up with a document, which is the resolution. So, in this process of setting the agenda or discussion and debate, all of this, it can't be done just freely, free talking amongst 30, 70, 50 delegations. This just isn't possible. And any of you who have spent 2 minutes in a high school classroom where the teacher has left the room will know just how much chaos that 30 children can cause in a short amount of time. So we do have a very set process to do all of these things. And the chairs seated here are extremely competent, and they will lead you through the rules of procedure. What you need to know as delegates is what rights you have as participants. And the foremost right that you have is to express your views through votes. And there are two types of votes, procedural and substantive. And I'll explain what these are to you. Procedural votes are literally votes to do with procedure. So what you saw before, such as in the case of setting the agenda for you guys to talk about, you would proceed with a procedural vote. Votes to decide as a committee what you wish to do and for how long, on what topic. All of these will be decided with a procedural vote. The process of a procedural vote is simply everybody raising their placards or their hands and the administrative staff counting the numbers and informing the chairs. So you will be doing a lot of this because this is basically how anything is done in the conference. To do any action, you must pass a procedural vote. Now the second form of vote, substantive, is deciding on matters of substance within the conference. For example, what we have been speaking about, the resolution document, which is something which is very substantial and something which represents your committee's views, will be decided by a substantive vote. As you can see here, important, meaningful, and considerable things are decided with a substantive vote. So for both of these types of votes, there are different ways in which they are passed. They can be through simple majority or 2/3 majority. Simple majority is literally having more people vote for than voting against. And 2/3 majority is how it sounds, having twice as many people vote for than against. And in the process of a substantive vote, the procedure is that the chair will call upon each of the delegations one by one and ask them for their answer regarding the vote. And there are 6 ways in which every delegation can answer. Of course, yes or no. And they can answer while holding their rights or expressing their rights. And they can pass or abstain. Yes or no needs no explanation. With rights means that a delegation wishes to clarify the reason for voting in cases where the delegation votes in contrary to their established position. Passing is to put off the vote till a later round if they wish to decide later. And abstaining is to just refrain from voting altogether. So please remember these 6 ways you can vote in a substantive vote, because this is the primary way in which you will express your opinion in this conference. So thank you for your attention so far, and that concludes the most basic concepts of our conference. I'd like to invite our DSG Kim Kwon-woo to speak in further detail about some of the concepts mentioned here.